name is Jacinto Mafalakusa. I'm coming from Mozambique, and in Mozambique I'm working for Agricultural Research Institute. My background is soils, and what I'm presenting here is not a specific topic for soils, but the soils are part of it. As you may know, Mozambique was under civil war for a long time. And when the peace came, many people from outside started to invest in Mozambique. And one of the big issues that they were looking for is land. The statistics of land in terms of people applying for it, in these last 5 years, it was 10 times compared to when we got independence up to 2004. So the government decided to stop and look for the real information about the available land. Some of you may ask, where is Mozambique? But Mozambique is there down southern Africa. It is not, it's border with Tanzania. To the west, with Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Swaziland. And to the south, with the Republic of South Africa. The east part, it has a long coast, about 2,400 kilometers on the Indian Ocean. The total area is 799,380 square kilometers. When we asked to find where the available land, so we had to consider some of the parameters. One of them is dealing with the biophysical aspect, which are soil, climate. What did we use for this exercise? One of the entry was soil data, then climatic data, land use, land cover, cadastral soil of Mozambique, dominated by the Areno soil in the southern part. Then in the northern part, there are leaky soils associated with the high rainfall zones. Telling about what the data really were needed to that is the land characteristics, which can be associated with the land qualities. In terms of climate, Mozambique experiments in the southern part kind of a deficit in rainfall, where the precipitation is less than half of evapotranspiration, mostly close to the South Africa, and at the central part close to Zambia. Zimbabwe, I mean. And the rest, it enjoys quite a good values of rainfall. One of the most interesting is we are looking at the pattern of growing period, because sometimes the rain, they start, then they stop, they restart and stop. So that pattern was most important for the definition of rain-fed agriculture. Having that information, so we are looking at where do we find good areas for rain-fed agriculture, and for other items there listed. So the information was compiled and using some of the software like Alice, which can integrate the soil information, climatic information, and crops. So we came out with these land suitability maps, and most of the major limiting factors, for instance, for rain-fed agriculture is precipitation, mostly in the southern part of the country. And this is also a land suitability map for forest, mostly for those species, very rapid growing species like eucalyptus, and for pepper production. This is for livestock based on the natural grass. Then we had to combine all those three maps and get just one to see where each land utilization type could fit. The land cover map, and the land cover map was all those attributes, investors. As I said, productive forest should not be excluded. As I said, there were two groups, one defending that we should exclude those and another one should not exclude. So we end up by having these two scenarios, one which says that 28.9 it was available land for investment, and another one it was 17.3. The 17.3, it is excluding the shifting cultivation with agriculture and the agriculture with shifting cultivation, and saying that that land is not available, so we should keep it for our rural farmers. Just this is information that we took from the accumulative map that I've shown before. On the right hand, it was the one who was accepted, because in fact we have to keep land for the farmers, rural farmers. But not only 12 million hectares, it's a good land for farming. That's why we had to put this information on that one. Because we wanted to know what are the suitability for that available area. So those are the maps, and the figures are there. In terms of class, land suitability classes, we use the same criteria that the very first speaker on the Sudan, the professor from Sudan, who gave an overview, are using it. So then we did for sorghum and irrigation, also in the traditional way. We have jatropha on both terms of management. Well, what I have to say about jatropha, in fact, we were forced to do a suitability map for jatropha, because ourselves, we don't have enough data that we can use it as a crop requirement for jatropha. And what we have been given is just information that comes from the internet, saying that jatropha can survive under this and that condition. So just to finish, what we have here is just a kind of a red flag to the government, saying that because most of the people, they say we have enough land, that in fact what we have is not enough land, and probably when we did some kind of comparison between these numbers and the land use progress from 1986, so there is already a warning that in 2015 we'll be getting a group of landless people just claiming for land. So probably it's better to sometimes to be very careful in terms of just giving the land or licensing the land before we think to other people. And that's the end of the story. Thank you.